Well, I cannot forget to say, even though it's the day after, Happy Easter to everyone, and also to those with other faiths. May you rejoice and celebrate your faith accordingly as well. And so here I am, and I am excited, every Monday that we can get here on time without any other issues, because I want to get us back on that regular schedule. So, in the end, I take all the blame for any past errors, but we'll get it going. So, when this Monday came around, this what would be the past one, the Raven has her phone set with an alarm. I have my phone set with an alarm, all to remind us to check to make sure the show has posted. Now, that's not always a guarantee. Other things could happen out of our control at least, but at least it will remind us to make sure that we check and go from there if the show hasn't been posted by a very reasonable time, like by 3 in the afternoon kind of thing. So anyway, that's what we're trying to do, and thank you all for being so patient in regards to that. I love Miss Barbara in Brooklyn, her updates on the show. Sometimes quite amusing, and always in a light way. So, it's the holiday weekend for a lot of people, or spring break attached to it one way or the other, and I couldn't help but to get out some other items, or shall I say, root around in the boxes that seem to be everywhere in the house, because, yes, met my new project manager, and still, we're going to be talking about my, not going to give that energy. We're not going to be talking about anything but how beautiful the new floors are, and the beautiful insulation in my shop in the basement. That's what we're going to be talking about. So let's just give that positive thought there. Let me see if I need to cover any other spring issues, any business issues. No, but remember, for those of you maybe that have tuned in recently, there's a lot of shows that are archived back that you can look. And all you need to get items from this show, you'll notice, is the prefix 482. That's this show, Gem Collectors with Shawn. The prefix I use for items in this show. So as long as you know 482, then you're getting an item straight from this show. And if you have item numbers, make a list of them. Call up, talk to a very friendly 24/7 sales representative, and they can see, that one sold, that one sold, that one sold, until you maybe find one that isn't. And it may be exactly the one you were meant to have from the beginning. Like, let's say, I wanted that, but I'll pass on it. And then other things came along and you got those instead. And it can often circle all the way back around. Things that are meant to be often will be, even if what we call the universe forces them back on you. That's what'll happen. We keep getting presented with the same possibility until we take the correct fork in the road. So that is how I tie it back to the inventory. You never know until you call and ask and write down those inventory numbers. Even if you don't have the money now, maybe later on you will, and then you'll have the numbers ready to go. So keep a notebook, a Gem Collectors Show with Shawn notebook, as many of you do, and that way it's all right there for you. All right, let's see anything else. Okay, so the way it happened and the way this show posted last week, it didn't post until late, what would have been the day before we recorded this past Monday show. And in order to be fair, I didn't even hold the trivia contest because there hadn't been enough people really to have even watched the show yet. and then B, it would be not a big enough pool of answers to get a winner. So I held over those and the additional people, because I held the same 2 items to be identified. The pendant, okay, and then, well, it's back behind me, and you can't miss it. There it is. That bright chartreuse green mineral specimen. I want to know what the green part of it was. So we're taking that show's clients and adding it to the others. Well, in doing that, kind of like the lottery. I wonder if I should do it like the lottery. It accrues, it builds up. You get, I add a new mineral specimen to it until you get them right. I'm not supposed to be mean or be too hard on all of you. But I think for the first time, now, Latif is here and Dave, and we took a vote as to whether a gift should be given if no one got both answers correct. And, I've always been very generous and lenient in that kind of thing. But the consensus was that no right answer, no winner. We got a lot of people that got 1 out of 2 correct, but to get both, no. So, I'm going to, I think for the first time, actually skip, because the gift is more relevant and pertinent, right? The prize, I guess, should stay instead of gift, because you actually have to accomplish a feat of challenge, and it's not something that is expected or mandatory, but is something that is earned. It's not a right, like the old, we used to, of course, as a child and then as a parent, talk about the driver's license and driver's license's age. The permission to drive at 16 is not a right. It is a privilege. And so kids have to remember that it's something that's earned and not automatically given to them. Doesn't quite apply to, because we're a little easier on the rules here, but no, but it did give me a real good idea of just in general how all of you are processing the information that you get, and even if I'm asking something too hard. So I'm going to circle back around to the right answers when I can show them to you closer, but in the meantime, you already know there's not a winner, but we'll go through the answers. So starting last week, which we covered, and those of you that are regular followers, watch every show, because some parts of it are like a running soap opera, shall I say that dreadful word, but it is a running commentary on our little community, our rock and gem and mineral community of gem collectors with Shawn, and it's a pretty open and transparent if you want to be, or you can just be like so many more that watch the show and don't comment or post or play trivia at all, which is fine, or comment and play the trivia, or trivia, you don't even have to put a comment, just put 1 and the answer, 2 and the answer, so there's no rules or anything like that that are, we just, participation is fun. It's just something that I try to do because I know I always wanted to win something, and I think actually part of it goes back to as a youngster, always wanting to win a raffle at school, even if it was 50 cents or whatever it might be, or something. Year after grinding year of just nothing. So, I'm one, though I haven't always abided by doing the right thing. I should stay away from places that have any chance, one way or the other, of winning money, because I'm a contrarian indicator. I told a stock guy one time, I said, yeah, if you want to make sure that you're going to make a lot of money in the stock market, do the opposite of whatever I do, because you can be assured that whatever choice I make, it's going to be the wrong one. And, if I would take my own advice and somehow in my mind could convert what I would normally choose into another choice and do it without bias, I'd probably be a wealthy man. But because I follow what's up here instead of doing maybe what this tells me to do at times, I have made many a wrong choice, such as I'm a contrarian indicator. All right, now let's get to something I know a little bit about. So I'll show you the trivia items at the end, and you get one last final wondering what they are. And so again, for those of you, every week we try to post a show up on Mondays around noon, and if for whatever reason we don't, or there's no note as to the effect, then just stay tuned, because as you found out just last week, we can pop up any time of the week. So again, what I was saying was, with having those two shows close together like that in recording them, is why I'm not going to do the trivia where I combine the two trivias from the 2 weeks, and then without an answer, we'll start with a fresh question and on time for this week. Okay, so the people that we already discussed their comments from last week but participated in the trivia and their answers, which, remember, of course, was what was item number 1 and what was item number 2. So what number 1 was, what is the stone set in sterling silver? So that was, oops, glad she wasn't here to see me. It's, of course, I don't own anything. Are you kidding? No, all the cool stuff is Ravens. That is what I was asking. So then the question number 2 was, what was that stone behind me? All right, so going from last week, Miss Cindy, she did as well as everybody could, and that was, she said, number 1, which was actually a wonderful answer, gem silica. Gem silica. And we'll circle back around to that. Now, the other side of that, if that was gem silica and that big of a piece, it would be quite the treasure. I would probably do a little bit more than sterling silver and maybe jazz it up a little bit, but nevertheless, absolutely good. Great answer. So you already know nobody won, but I won't say which answer which was what here until the end. Number 2, she has calcite from the Gold Hill mine. And so I'll go ahead, since everybody, it was the pendant that everyone had trouble with. Number 2, the calcite piece, that's the chartreuse one. Several people got that right. So well done from the Gold Hill mine in Utah. All right, and then also from last week, we had Mr. Anthony, who he was opting out because he had won anyway. So he has the greenstone and the pendant as chrysoprase. That was also very, very good answer, because without a doubt, I have seen chrysoprase in that color range, and oftentimes a little bit more translucent, but in looking at it from your, from from the lazy boy or the sofa, you don't get a sense of the translucence or opaqueness to it. So not having that was a really, really good answer to that. And so then for the second one, gets conocalcite right. Well done there on that. Then Miss Barbara, she was going to ask about the pendant as far as what it was, but then I made it a trivia question. So she says, how about a greenish shade of turquoise that goes with my ring that I was wearing at the time? So a very good correlation in putting those two together. And then in another post, she states that she changes her mind and wants to go with, because she could see, which is, and be able to tell that it had a waxy luster to it. And she is absolutely correct. A waxy luster is one of the definitions of the stone, what it is, as the luster being waxy. And it absolutely is, even a little bit more so than turquoise. So she changed it to serpentine, which is indeed has a very waxy luster, and she noticed the polish as well. So then she got the green specimen right as being conocalcite on that. And then we have this week, let's see here. Okay, so we'll just go through and I'll read these comments and do the replies at the same time. So, when I say I will, that's if I have the right paperwork in front of me. Here we go. All right. The one that says no winner. Miss Barbara in New York, she said, just heard about a real sulfide sulfo salt mineral with a moniker that takes your desire for descriptive naming to ludicrous lengths. Yeah, so if you've been listening or watching me ever amount of time, I always like the names of mineral specimens. I mean, in a name itself, you have one shot to convey information to someone about a particular specimen. And names are, over the centuries, have come from so many different languages and people that discovered them. And then my nemesis probably is people naming it in honor of someone else. And that honor may be something as simple as being the governor of South Africa when prehnite was discovered, and his name was von Prien, or Pren, however you would pronounce that in German. So he gets prehnite named after him for no other reason than he happened to be governor at the time. I don't even have that much issue because I got to take this out somewhere. I mean, for kunzite to be named after Frederick Kunz, at least it causes you to learn about a famous gemologist, vice president of Tiffany and Company, and the origin of it leads you to more information that is at least appropriate to knowledge and linked to kunzites in Palo, California, and his involvement with those. J.P. Morgan getting Morganite named, even though that was kind of in honor of him, but you're talking about someone that donated huge, beautiful collections to universities and played a big role in supporting gems and minerals. So Yeah, that's the outer perimeter of what's acceptable to me. But the ones that I really love, and something like Cavinsite, since I'm a chemistry nut and always want to know what something is made of, Cavinsite, Ca for calcium, Va for vanadium, Si for silicon. Cavinsite, add the Te, and you have the chemical makeup for the mineral. Beautiful blue, remember. That's, I find, a very functional name. So that is what Miss Barbara is referencing, because the one she found, and I actually literally practiced saying this name, so we'll see how well I do, and then went online to see how close I got before. But you know what, by the way, those pronunciation whatever they're called, you use when you go and search and how to pronounce this. I've done them for mineral specimens, and they will take them, and I've heard like salamalang. That was pronounced 3 different ways. So, some of those you have to take, because remember it's spelled P-S, so already that throws linguists off. So, yeah, don't get always too caught up with having to say something perfectly correct. We've all had issues with that in the gem and mineral business. So this is hexatesta biopaniculite. So I'll say that faster. Hexatesta biopaniculite. Hexatesta biopaniculite. Hexatesta biopaniculite. And that is because the HEX is for hexagonal, the crystal system. The TEL is for tellurium, which is an element often associated with gold, but also found in other alloys. Then the STI for stibium, which is the Latin name for antimony. And you know it by stibnite, that beautiful metallic mineral that makes incredible slender crystals. And then there's the PALL for palladium, which was very actually rare because it belongs to the platinum group metals, and it often doesn't associate and combine with other elements easily. So that was real interesting to find. Plus, it's very, by way of weight, very valuable. So you'd have to measure the total atomic weight and percent of it in there, but all that is able to be done to see if it would be a viable ore, and depending on how much of it is mined. But yeah, you could potentially have money there. And then the last part, which is remember we got the PA for palladium, and then the last part was nicolite. Nicolite was nickel, Ni for the nickel. So you have hexatesta biopaniculite. That is a doozy, and must say you caught me out on that one for sure. I even looked to see if there was a picture of it in any resources, and I didn't even see a picture of that one. So great. And then she goes on to say, "Oi, makes my head ache, but still not as good as Raven's Scooby-Doo-Eye. I'd love to find that in Mindat, even as just a giggle." Miss Barbara, that would be a riot. I talked to her comments in the morning or driving here when we can, and I told her about that comment and what you said. And for those that might have missed it, there's a really rare yet absolutely stunning crystal clusters that I had only a few of, and they were really museum quality compared to what's available in the market. And so one of its name is Skuderudite, and named after a locality in Skuderud, Norway, I believe it was named after. So again, valuable information in the name, even as weird as Skuderud was. So of course, Raven not always pronouncing things in order like you would, as a scientist, might want them. She called it her own name, which was Scooby-Doo, right? It it worked a lot better and easier, rolled off her tongue better than Scooter-Roo-Dite, so Scooby-Doo-Right it became in our household. So that's what that reference is to, and we joke about. She's got a couple others. We'll come across them as we do. All right, then we have Harry in Massachusetts. Good day to you, Professor Shawn, or Mountain Rockman. And I am just silly today. And let's not forget or harass or badger or annoy the beautiful Raven. Also, let's say a big hi to all my sisters and brothers in the rock and gem community. Getting into your show in the comments, you mentioned Social Security, and I had my cancer surgery in 2020, and by October's end, I started the process of applying for Social Security disability. Now, there was a lawyer and time and dates that kept getting pushed back. So he said, just know that I am a survivor and I'm on Social Security disability. And that's fantastic. As you know, the more I found out as I was becoming part of that system, for me, it's not disability I'm filing for. I don't even qualify for it. Just due to the way I'm a LLC, so a subchapter S corporation, so things are done a little differently there. So, and I'm glad I'm not, because in this situation, again, I get to be here, and I get the Social Security, and I get to be here. Did I say that? That's important to me. That's important to me. So. But I am glad, Harry, that you finally can get that break after working all your life as a journeyman. That is that's a difficult job, and one that you can feel proud about retiring from. Then he goes on to say, seriously, a flippin' chicken lived 9 years like that? OMG. Yes, I told him about, I read Guinness Book of World Record where someone, we were talking about cutting chicken's head off. Oh yes, wide-ranging show. And it actually lived, it went on to live for years and years. I think it was like 9 years. And they would put just chicken kernel corn because his brainstem was left intact, and so it could function headless. So he said, I dated this gal for a while, and her parents lived up in Maine on the farm. And yep, I saw the dad chop off a chicken's head, throw it on the ground, and saw it running for a bit with no head. Then I threw up. I wasn't going to normally read that sentence because sensitivity to some of you, but I think all of us in our age group probably were involved at some point maybe in your life where you ate domestically home-raised farm animals. I know with 6 kids, we did. And you were expected, even if it was living that morning and wasn't later that evening, if you wanted to eat, you were expected to eat, you know, what was grown and what was put before you, rightfully so. There's too many hungry people to be to get too picky about that. So, but yeah, that's how it's done. I also like aqua natural, all the beauty God put in the crystal. Unfortunately, my 5 aquamarine stones I cut were already heated, taking out that undesirable hue, leaving the blue. Oh well, yes, that is something. Now, aqua can be naturally blue. A lot of that Arango material is beautiful blue. Santa Maria aqua, nice, clean, often natural blue. So you can't, if it's just still all blue, you can't automatically say that it's been heat treated. In the sense that it can be green and can be heat treated, and it can still be green. It all has to do with a valence of iron. But the other thing about that is you get into barrels that are green and have just enough green and lacking other things that you can get into like a green barrel or a greenish yellow barrel where you don't have quite the same impurities in it to get the same effect by heating it. And what you might do is in those is wind up with an undesirable color and wish you would have just left it the way it was. So he goes on to say, when I can afford my next aqua crystal, I will buy a natural mine, no heat rough. By the way, I know the area I live in is non-volcanic land, but I was fishing along a small river and found this good-sized alluvial piece of obsidian. Light seems to go through it along the edges, and you can see the chipping along the protruded and leading edges. Shawn, how does this occur? You, as well as I know all the secrets on tumbling, I loved your advice on the plastic pellets. I also swear by them for protection in the delicate stages of tumbling indeed. Thanks for the nice compliments on the vase. Very appreciated, my brother. Thank you. Now, you say to put RIT dye in the epoxy. Wow, what a great idea. Thank you. I will try this. And you'll find when you get the RIT dye, which of course using RIT dye will give you every range of color. You can even mix the colors to custom come up with your own particular color. And why this conversation came up is because Harry cuts stones and does doublets, and I first started doing that. And even when I took the stone cutting lessons at 13 on how to make doublets, because I took specialized cabochon lessons, and then it was getting into the harder stuff like creating a doublet, was depending on how black of a piece of doublet material you had. Of course, doublet is a thin slice of a precious gemstone, in this case mostly opal that we run across, on a dark background or another background. And in the case of, there's lots and lots of bolder opal doublets, which gives you, and then they're bezel set, and they are made to be, I hate to use the word deceive, but they're made to confuse at best, and unless you see the side of it, you can't exactly always determine whether you have a natural bolder opal or whether it is a doublet. My point is always, if it is a natural opal on ironstone, which can occur naturally or often through creating doublets by using the ironstone behind it. I always went by this line of thought. If it was a natural bolder opal, then it would be something you would want to show off and have proof of that fact. So the design would intentionally show the edges of the stone, and even it doesn't have to be all the edges, just a portion of the edges, so you can look in and see if there is an epoxy between the materials being brought together as the doublet. So I always put the onus on the maker of the piece, and if they were proud enough, and if it was truly a natural, solid, genuine boulder opal, then it should be made for that to be obvious. So therefore, when they're set to where you cannot see the edges, and they ask good money. Remember, I actually, for my business partner, wrote the letter of recommendation so he could live there a year, and he got a job working in what they call an opal shop. And I actually went to that shop later in Sydney and spent time down in the mines in Lightning Ridge and got a good feel for the real business and what goes on between having been doing business here and then actually getting over there and seeing it. And then also with my business partner having to work in an opal shop. He was giving explicit directions on what to say and what not to say when offering these opals that would be to me in question as to whether they're solid or natural. Well, most clients didn't even know enough to ask the difference between the two, and the prices that they were asking, it should have been a solid boulder opal, but they were doublets and they were all concealed around the bezel. And so yeah, I was kind of disappointed to hear that, but that's, he said, the way they do business. So that it's really the consumer that needs to know, always needs to know, and not rely on the retailer unless there is a way to guarantee your purchase, hence Gem Shopping Network. Long story to get around to me promoting Gem Shopping Network. Well, and the truth is, as long as you have a return policy such as Gem Shopping, you can be assured that your purchases are what they are. We also have a huge, very strict and stringent quality control department. But back to the opal, something important to know. Now, to achieve the best look, see, I'm getting back to why. RIT dye. Oh yeah, remember we started about RIT dye. Because one of the ways to determine if something is a doublet is by seeing the epoxy seam, not anything else, the actual physical epoxy itself. So if you can dye, like let's say you're using black jade for the doublet part, or black onyx, it's just really dark, black material. You take your RIT dye and literally crush it, because the granules, the way it comes, are actually bigger than what you want it to be. So you want to grind that into a fine powder. You mix it in with your 2-part epoxy, and that gives it a not only colors the glue, but also gives it a grittier, rocky kind of look to it. And I'm talking about, you're only talking about a really, really micro thin layer, but that is easily discernible under high magnification, and how I can always tell. But with RIT dye, it makes it a lot more difficult. And by being able to dye any color you want and create any color you want, you can solve any of those problems and matching the material. And like, which I have done many a times, like Harry did and experimented, absolutely, you can, as long as it's real fine grain, let's say some dust, you were grinding away some dust of the ironstone, or have some dust set aside from before, mix it in there with it as well, and then you can really get a nice blend that doesn't show up. Because Harry's doing it for his own use and not doing it for any deception. It's totally acceptable and fine to do, and great ideas on both of those. So as far as the obsidian goes, so you're up there in Massachusetts, I believe, and the problem that ends up happening that is so confusing is diamonds, and I actually have a book. Diamonds have actually been found in every state of the union, including Florida, which is a difficult one for me to imagine. But 95% of them all can be traced back mostly to, and people don't realize how far they came down, glaciers and glaciation. So glaciers came down into Georgia. They really spread a long way. So as we know, the Canadian diamond mines, those glaciers came across Canada, picked up, scoured, who knows how many undiscovered kimberlite pipes now, including kimberlite pipes. Remember, in Arkansas, there's one in Arkansas. Who knows what other ancient ones over time. So we're talking about a lot of period of time for these to be found in other places. I think glaciation can account for a lot of those unusual pieces of rock you find outside of their boundaries. And the other thing is trading. Ancient man traded thousands of years here before we ever, came around. So that would be something really cool. I wish I had a couple other better pictures of that, because there was another idea I was thinking it could be. So if you want, you can send on a couple other different angles with some backlighting at the edge, like you said, because I was thinking something else, and also, so needs a little further looking into. But yeah, material can be found that you would never believe in the oddest and weirdest of places due to migration and movement of mankind, and to geology itself through glaciation and other strange things like meteorites and whatnot, all kinds of cool stuff brought to this earth. All right, so Harry goes on to say, let's see, where did we leave off? Oh, yep. You as well as I know all the secrets on tunneling. Okay. Thank you on the nice compliment on the vase. Very appreciated. Trivia envy just kicked in big time. Lucky, Anthony. Great job. I'm kidding. I'm so happy for you. Awesome. Iolites and tanzanites. Nice. I agree on the D block or B block. And yes, that is the perfect color with the purple and blue showing through. And on most view angles, a blue. He's talking about that wonderful tanzanite ring that was bought in this show the other week that someone got an amazing value on. So, and in agreement with all of you who are the biggest critics and so knowledgeable and well-versed and often have a lot of the same pieces. So I'm sure whoever got that piece, it always helps to hear other people in the know say and underscore just how beautiful an item is that you purchased and that the value that you got. And it's just not coming out of my mouth. Very good on that halo job. Yeah, because that ring I set, you're going to see another ring I set up today, also another halo piece. Again, the key, we'll talk about setting the halo when I have it, so I can show you exactly where people go wrong on the look of those. Geez Louise, I wish I had extra loot. I would buy that in a heartbeat. Shawn, what are you doing? 1988, are you serious? I am blessed just to view this ring. Thanks, and that is my favorite of the show. Wow. Then, okay, he goes on and says, nice kunzai. And then he, in referencing about the moldavite, I look for the waves like inclusion as well as air bubbles in moldavite. Am I correct? And it can look melted in the wave-like inclusions. That is the way to determine that you have a genuine moldavite, is the presence, especially of both. Little air bubbles, but that can occur in natural glass, but then the flow melt lines. Won't always be everywhere, and you may have to turn it at a certain angle to see them, but they'll just be little waves that looks like molten glass flowing, and that is literally what had and has occurred in the formation of the silica being turned into glass. And so at one point, yes, it does melt, and you get those classic little flow lines. So if you have both of those in a moldavite and you see any other little tiny foreign objects, then you can be assured you have the real thing, especially if the outside is classic moldavite look. They try to literally take glass and pour it into all kinds of different forms of, I guess, matrix. I'm trying to think of everything from ice. I actually have some secrets of my own in creating different looks, but they don't involve creating anything like moldavite. But I have tried and done that with gold, not with pouring glass, but other people, I'm sure, have poured glass into all kinds of other different types, on the surface of a brick, on the surface of a concrete brick, to try to get that look of a moldavite surface. So just so they can deceive the tourist, for the most part, the tourist that goes to Central Europe looking for that sort of thing. Same thing with amber. It's definitely buyer beware. Trivia. The number 1 said turquoise, and the number 2 went with green calcite. Oh, well, that's it for me. I say goodnight to y'all, and much love on each other. Then we have Mr. Anthony. He says, great show. I noticed you have showcased a couple of jewelry pieces and I think loose gems of chrome dioxide. And I read an article somewhere a while back about the gem. I would love to hear your take on this material when you can fit it in. My take and question on a single source gem from a hostile environment, weather-wise. Mined in Siberia and maybe nearly mined out. A deposit in Pakistan has also been discovered. It is relatively inexpensive and is a durable, beautiful gem. Why so inexpensive? We'll get to that. The talk on Murado Opal, in parentheses, Tiffany Stone. was very interesting. I have a couple of pieces of rough, and of course, in the closet, I went with my UV flashlight to see an orange color. I'm a big fan of this material as well. Yes, there's nothing wrong with the Murata Opal or Tiffany stone, as long as people represent it correctly and know exactly what they're buying. Most of the time, it's a mixture of fluorite. And then Tiffany stone, you can add bertrandite, calcite, quartz. Other materials can be found with it. And with the calcites, they can fluoresce in it, but it is a real interesting, and it's presented different ways. And some of it has more of the good stuff than just, let's say, the purple fluorite and quartz and whatnot. But as far as the diopside goes, diopside is it's basic. It's calcium magnesium silicate, but that green color is outstanding, and what makes it so unique, and that is because of the impurity. So it's allochromatic of chromium, and why they call it chrome diopside. So remember, a gem that's allochromatic is a gem that gets its color from an outside impurity versus getting its color derived from part of its chemical makeup. Like I always use malachite for green. Malachite is green because it has copper in its chemical makeup. And then you have, as opposed to emerald, which its chemical formula would be perfectly clear if it weren't for the impurities of, well, iron if you have a aqua, you have vanadium and chromium if you have, will produce an emerald. And so those are allochromatic. So with the chrome diopside, I have sold big crystals right here in this show since we've been doing these podcasts, big, and I ended up reducing the price on some of these amazing diopside crystals from Pakistan, and I couldn't understand why so many of you, or all of you, didn't buy every one I showed. I think I might still have one or two at home, and they're the greenish color, but they're a greenish color. They're not the green color. Now that last parcel that I offered, and I think someone bought it, of chrome diopside from Russia, was a fantastic buy, because those things are going to become much harder to get. There's a lot of it. It's just the popularity isn't what it should be. Hardness of 5.5 to 6.5, so it's certainly hard enough. It's in the realm of hardness of tanzanite, let's say. And diopside, though, can be an ashen gray. It can be all these other common colors and very opaque and of nothing special. But then you get into some beautiful colors, including there's a pinkish color one and something like that. But the chrome diopsides are absolutely a bargain, look versus money. So, if I had, lots of... and a great contact, it would make sense to just scoop up a bunch of that faceted chrome diopside, especially material over a carat, and more so over 3 carats. Really hard to find. So I love chrome diopside. The black star diopside, very inexpensive, very, very common, and unless you have a really high quality, it's very, very inexpensive. And that's the two sides to the diopside world for value. The 4-star that we all, would get in the mail decades ago and offered as Black Star of India, and then the chrome diopside of the beautiful green color, but only through the impurity of chromium. But love it. It was named by Awi of Aween fame, who actually ended up naming a lot of minerals, and he was a rascal because he was big into honoring other people, and nice of him not to name items from other people, because he discovered or was part of discovering many, many different minerals in 1806, and so its name, as it's part of the pyroxene group, but its name is really referencing a double prism iridescence. So orientation, two different orientations. So yeah, go figure that one. So next, let's see. Nope. So good question there, Mr. Anthony. And again, look for any of those Pakistani ones that I have offered, because they were really value and big and showy. Barbara in New York. Hi, Professor Raven, GSN crew, and the whole Rock family. There you were at 9:45 in the morning on a Monday morning, not quite bright-eyed and semi-bushy-tailed, with a bunch of goodies to share with us. Allergies starting? Hope not. Dave gets them, but I not too bad. But I noticed as the years have gone on, I get them worse than I ever did before. Hope everyone and their families had a happy Easter, Passover, and Ramadan. Glad you discovered and entered into Social Security at 62. Sounds like another answer to Mo Money Prayers. Yes, it is. And when I discovered it, let me add one thing, because, okay, so what Harry was referencing as far as time and wishing me good luck on getting it was based on disability. And yes, I could see where that would be a huge difference. From the Sunday when I applied for it, I had a direct deposit check in my account in 9 days later. 9 days later. I couldn't believe it. Take back everything I've ever said about a government agency. It was really, really impressive, and couldn't have come at a better time. Well, not really. I did go out. I said, well, this is my first retirement check. I should just blow some of this. So I did. Shh, don't tell anybody. All right, let me see. Okay. Yeah, your mind is 25, but the carcass that carts you around begs to differ, and that disparity gets worse as you age. I'm looking at this from the standpoint of 74 years, and while I still want to know what I'm going to do when I grow up, my body says, shut up and sit down, Granny. Just adapt the best you can, and that's the truth, sadly. Did you know that the combination you liked of peridot and amethyst plus any white gemstone was the secret jewelry code for the suffragettes of the 1900s. Ribbons and clothing in the same combo worked too. That was the women that, of course, fought for voting rights. And no, I did not know that. And Barbara comes up with the coolest, most clever tidbits of information that go great with information that I'm giving in one way. She comes up with cool information in another way. So that's really neat that they had a color combo that said that they were a suffragette. Very cool. If you like pegmatites and tourmaline, the in-person GIA Sinkankas Symposium on April 22nd will be talks about minerals from the Palo District in California. You're talking about one of the guys I have a man crush on in the mineral world. Johnson Kankas, of course, is just a guru when it comes to knowledge of gems and minerals. I wish I could say I was Johnson Kankas. I remember growing up, and this is how warped I was really then. I should have been doing other things, but I remember at 12 and 13 years old, my hero then was Paul Desautels. And he was the curator of the Gem and Mineral wing of the Smithsonian Institution at the time. And this is who I should have been reading Tales from the Crypt or something, but I was reading these heavy-duty science books, and such was one of my heroes. Yep. As to the trivia, after careful consideration, I changed my answer on the pendant. Turquoise is just too bright and blue and takes a better polish. So I think the greenish blue-gray, greasy textured stone in the serpentine group mineral is antigerite, which antigerite is the high-end quality type of serpentine. I'll stick with Kona calcite from the Gold Hill mine in Utah for the specimen. Okay, enough from me. Let's see what you got for us today. Be well. Oh, Miss Barbara from Brooklyn. Miss Elisa says, hello, Professor Shawn, Lovely Raven, GSN crew, and Rock family. I hope everyone is doing well. And Shawn and Raven, I'm so sorry about the delay of work at your home. I'm praying things will change and the project will be done quickly. My answer to the trivia is the pendant is turquoise and the green mineral is Kona calcite from the Gold Hill mine in Utah, which had more than 110 different minerals found there. I remember you teaching us about that. I read that. It's like, wow, how'd she know that? Oh, yeah, I guess she remembered it from me saying it. I just love that people even got the Kona calcite, and anything extra was definitely extra. And I like the way you said it with confidence. The pendant is turquoise, and the green mineral is Kona calcite. That's why I told Raven, I said, when you go to say, don't give a, well, it might be, just say it with confidence. And pretty much every time she's done it, she's been right. She just hasn't said her answers with confidence. I appreciate Lindsay's kindness at customer service. I had 17 item numbers on my list, which I have been adding to over several shows now. She sweetly and patiently went through all of them with me. With that said, all were sold except for 5 items. Wow. However, the ones I got were the ones I really wanted the most. That included the gorgeous lavender, jadeite, and diamond pendant score. Wow. A peridot parcel, a multicolored sapphire parcel, and the aquamarine parcel, and last but not least, the diopside parcel. Thank you. Take care, everyone, and have a great week. Miss Elisa, you nailed it on the items you got, especially. I was thinking about that diopside pendant. I mean, the diopside parcel and that jadeite pendant for the money. You really came out very, very well. Oh, and by the way, I've enjoyed those of you who have your little picture in, I guess, when you post your comment. I don't know how these things are done, but I've gotten to see what Miss Elisa looks like, and anyone else that does that too. So it's nice to see. You get to see what I look like. I like to be able to put a face with a name also. Okay, so let me see, make sure we went through. Oh, Miss Kathleen, she just had a comment. She said, hello all. Thanks for another great show, Shawn. Hoping your meeting went well with your project manager last Friday. No, that got postponed to Tuesday, but it did happen on Tuesday. Wishing everyone a great and safe week. Looking forward to seeing you again next Monday. Thank you, Miss Kathleen. You're always very kind. Miss Cindy in Pennsylvania. Hello, Rock family. You had such Easter-themed colors today, Shawn. All the purple amethyst and green peridot. Now we have to wait a whole week for the next show. I hope the week ahead is good one for all. Cindy in South Central Pennsylvania. Fave this week? The purple jadeite, amethyst, and diamond pendant. Exactly what Miss Alicia just got. More purple. I know, purple. I love purple myself. So very well played on that. Okay, so let's show you the close-up of the 2 items before I tell you who or what they are. Let's go, and all right. Now, there you have that. Let me sit that right there while I get the rock behind me. All right, so we already know what this is. This is the Kona calcite, and that is the bright green material. There's some some wonderful yellow material. No, the white, there'll be calcite on here, as well as quite a few other different minerals, but the bright green portion of it is the Kona calcite part. Now, all right, I am going to give you the answer, showing it to you in a different way. I don't know how well the green color is coming out on your television right now, but what I wanted to show you was the green in this botryoidal specimen. In actuality, is exactly the greens that are in this pendant, but due to the white background of this and difference, it's tough to see them match unless you're looking at them individually. All right, so this is from, if I said that this mineral specimen was from the Étoile de Congo mine, French word, but it means the Star of the Congo mine, and from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, of course, and that it actually comes in many colors. What I'm showing you is the range of greens, but yet it comes in an incredible range of blues. And then there's one more thing, and in saying that it was gem silica, that came actually technically probably closer than any other situation or mineral for it, because it is the salts, the chemistry, the salts that bleed out from this mineral into the quartz that creates those amazing blue and blue-green colors of gem silica that is just very valuable and rare. And you've seen it on this show, sold specimens from the Ray mine. I still have some museum quality specimens I may bring in. But what you're looking at is one of the many shades that chrysocolla can come in. Yep, chrysocolla. And as I drop that, you can see I use Mindat for reference. Chrysocolla it is. Chrysocolla is a copper mineral, copper aluminum, very similar chemistry to turquoise, but different altogether in its own right. And so this specimen, a lot of people would think turquoise, but you know, if I do that, I'm not going to be that obvious. But I was hoping to get someone to say, take a shot and say chrysocolla. But it's certainly, though, turquoise would be the second, would be the other one that I would have actually thought and said it was. Chrysocolla may not have actually come to my mind first off, but I would have said, that Shawn, he's kind of sneaky. He wouldn't make it that obvious. It's something other than chrysocolla. That's why Barbara did well by changing over from turquoise to getting in on the waxy luster, which she was right, exactly right about, because chrysocolla has that exact description, a waxy luster and feel to it. So it's also, they also describe it as earthy, which is pretty interesting. And you can see the cut is actually kind of earthy, has some natural material in it. And we just personally love chrysocolla because it can be found, in banded material. It joins with other material real well as far as other copper minerals. So it's a beautiful gem, but you got to be honest, you don't often see it like you're seeing it right now. So that's definitely something I have to agree with, and why I kind of used that to be a little sneaky there in choosing that for y'all to see how well you would do on that. So overall, though, I think you guys did well. That we haven't done anything like that in a while, and maybe we should do a little bit more of that, and that way you can get familiar with just making a call on what something looks like, either through a glass case, like if you're going either buying or selling, you're either buying over the counter from someone that's selling something that they maybe inherited, they may have no idea what it is, and you have to make a call there, and you have to be able to pay fairly, but not get yourself pay too much, and it all comes back to being able to make a field call on the purchase as to what it is, and whether that would be a turquoise or whether it would be a chrysocolla. It certainly makes a difference in the value. So I have to, only because here's the biggest thing. In turquoise, you're going to assume, there's that word, but you really should, that there's been some kind of stabilization treatment done to it. And, you know, for that reason, it makes me always a little leery if I'm getting the you know, how much is the real deal. You can't pull out a hot pen and go sticking and poking and prodding someone else's turquoise, you know, without permission, kind of thing. So, but I think I think with the mentioning, of course, the gem silica, I think that Cindy said in Pennsylvania was really good because of the connection of how it gets its color, being from a chrysocolla. But to answer everyone's questions, no, it is not for sale because Raven would have my head. All right, let me tuck that one away. We'll be right back with the show. I am starting with the big guns right here. I don't know where to begin in talking about this particular piece. Either, you know, do I start with me having been the one to cut the opal, or I also was the one to set the stones up. And this is, of course, the same style ring that Princess Diana had, except sapphire in the middle and diamonds around it. And then Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, she had the similar thing, except with a ruby in the middle. It's a timeless design, is what that says. And in someone that had a, right in downtown Chamblee on Broad Street, a estate jewelry store for well over a decade, I got to see a lot of designs, and this is one of the timeless ones. Not these new halos, not those. I don't think during that time period I never sold a one, but I had to make some after that. As the younger generation, whatever letter they're using is comes around. But to us old timers, and for all perpetuity going forward, this is the look that will outlast time. Let me show you what I was talking about earlier, where a lot of people don't. Well, see, I want to go about the mechanics of setting the ring when I should be showing off. What I am offering is this stunning lightning ridge. You can see a little bit of a gray base to the body tone of the opal, and it is one of the last wow opals. Anything coming out of Lightning Ridge. I've been down in the mines, and this was a couple decades ago, they were having trouble finding good material then. So much so that the supports, so when you're down there, it's usually most of the material in Lightning Ridge is about 30 meters deep. You know, let's just say around 80 to 90 feet deep. And the borehole is 30 inches wide. Everything is exact because of the equipment they use to cut these things. So when you get down there, then you operate this big machine, and which I got to operate, that is like a rotating, well, it looked exactly like a rototiller. And so, except scaled up and much more powerful, that you actually literally were behind it, and you were eating into the rock and the soil. And when you'd hear a chink, which is very discernible, even with the noise, from the metal hitting glass, because that's what opal is, it's silica. It's glass, and it's so you instantly shut the machine down. Now, meanwhile, while this is eating material, you've got a 10-inch vacuum hose. Imagine what it takes to pull a vacuum on a hose that will send the weight of the rock that you're digging, shoot it 90 feet up and into a waiting big truck where it'll be processed and run through the mills later. I've always said that they need to take the material and let it sit out in the weather for a period of a year so that any opals that craze will have done so by then. But of course, too anxious to get the money and the item to the market, that's just something not done. And that's why estate opals, older opals versus newer ones, there is such a thing, make a big difference. Because if you have an opal that's a couple decades old and it hasn't crazed, it's not going to craze. Crazing will occur usually within really the first year, the majority. I mean, my majority, I'd say 75%. Then you have, it goes down to maybe, after a period of 2 or 3 years, if it hasn't crazed, most likely it's not going to. If an opal is not worn and just put in the safety deposit box, something like that, in those dry, very dry environments, low humidity, that's where you risk even older opals having an issue. When you want to take care of an opal, to put it away, you can just put it in, just dab a little surface mineral oil on it, put it into like a sealed baby jar, something like that, and then lock it away. Put some type of, sealant on it, so to speak, and that way you're going to really cut down on what can occur. So this piece I made again in the late 90s, and it has passed the test of time. I even, on this one, I did a surface repolish to remove what were some very small surface crazing, and I was able to. I said, man, I can't do this. Is too beautiful of an opal. So the way you can always tell is by looking behind it, and the any craze lines really stand out. They just look like, well, the light reflects off of the break. Now, light also, look at this. If we can go a little closer, the light will follow the edges of a reflective fire pattern, like you see the yellow one, and it will sometimes, it's so distinct that particular color and where it's flashing from is so distinct, it sometimes can look like a inclusion, but it's not. It's just, look at that. It's just following the reflective area of where the fire is coming from. So like if you put your eyes, see now I moved it, and that dark area is totally gone. It's just actually, so there you have it. You can see it right there. That is a perfectly clean opal, because inclusions can be in opals just like any other gem. So I want to show that beauty, thank you sir, that beauty off, because this is one of those opals that has what you want. It has multi-directional fire, omnidirectional fire from far away, many different colors from many different angles, and domed, a nice proportioned dome, not too high of a dome where you pay for weight that you shouldn't be there, and then also you get a high dome, you're going to hit the stone. This, of course, this ring, like I said, I didn't make the ring, but I set it up, and I cut the opal, and I set it the way it should be set, and that's protected by the prongs. You can see that. It is only barely comes really above the prongs, and for any contact to occur with an object, it would have to be straight on, which is very rare for that to happen. You can see how many prongs it is. Look at this. Okay, so the other point I wanted to make was, all right, so with the turn, you can see the turn here it's almost a straight line coming here with the length. But when you get to the end and get into that sharp turn, if you use the same size diamonds along this edge as you use when you get that turn, we all know that if these were flipped upside down and put edge to edge, if you use the same diamonds and you get in that turn, you're going to have a gap between the stones or create an unattractive look. You can sometimes even see gold between them. And when I see that, I just cringe. It's like, wow, that goldsmith doesn't know what he's doing or didn't plan for it. So I usually use 1 to 2/10 of a millimeter larger size stones. So most of these are like 3.1s. Over here, they're like 3.2 millimeters. And that little bit of a difference will close up any gap in between as you're rounding that sharp turn on the end. Now, that difference in size is not discernible to the eye unless you really look for it. Then you can actually maybe see that they are just ever so slightly larger. But you see what that does? That gives you a full look. These are very white stones. They have just like SI type inclusions in them. So you get a lot of look for the money when you go with that. Especially if you have a nice white color. These are a conservative HI in a color range. You're going to get a lot of value. Now, this is an estate piece. So you pay nothing for my labor originally. You get it at a huge discount to what the market is. What I'm going to get ready and tell you how much this is, do not think that that's anywhere near the value. It is just the fact that I am offering something at such a fantastic bargain that I want it to go to somebody in our group first, and before I offer it into other shows. I've offered a lot of these other items in other shows. They've all sold and at a price that, well, you would prefer them to buy the items in this show. So look at that. Look at that opal. That has all the colors, all the intensity that you want a lightning ridge stone to have. There is color across every part of this stone in one angle or another, and that's the magic. You want that to happen. You want, when you move around, for that opal to project its fire in all of its colors and in all the different directions that is possible in this stone. Let me show you the back. So on these, because this is actually a crystal opal, and look at the light reflecting, look at the fire reflecting off of that. Because it's a crystal opal, if I polish the back completely, that actually works against the intensity of the fire because it allows too much light to pass through the stone and not get reflected back. So it's to leave just a little frosted finish on it, you'll do much better. But in the look from above. But look at the color. Look at the fire reflecting off that stone. That entire thickness of that stone is color. Is nothing but color. Let me just show it to you on my hand. I'll leave it next to the ruby ring so you can get an idea. It's a large finger size, so it can be sized down. So look at that. Look at that. Wow. I always said diamonds are best used to enhance gemstones, and that's the case here. The opal is magnificent. I have to say, in this case, those diamonds are helping it, are definitely helping the overall look. Okay, think of a price in your head of what something like that you would think it would normally be offered for. Because when I give you the price, there's no negotiation in our show, which I understand that, and that's why I price things, and they're priced, at as low as they can possibly go, unless there's some little rock items or mineral items like that, and then, you know, I can, I mess around a little bit when I show them again, I mark it down a little. But something like this, where I start from, isn't a price I can go down from. As simple as that, and it won't, because in the other market, the other shows, it gets sold right away and at a price better, but that wouldn't be right. I would rather offer it to all of you first. So here you go. I have a Lightning Ridge incredible opal that I have cut the opal. I have set the diamonds. This has been 1998, 99. I would have signed it, except I didn't make the mounting, so I didn't, you know, I made it work for this opal by adjusting the mounting, but I didn't count that as being made. Nevertheless, though, you got my stone cutting and my stone setting involved in there, and I think, for Providence' sake, yep, I have it right there, cut by Shawn. So for whatever that's worth, that no extra charge. That's a stunning opal, and the Raven went crazy over it. It's my mom's birthstone. It's my son's birthstone, so there's a lot of positive, good things happening with that piece. And all of that, look at the diamonds. Wow. Okay, well, as soon as I can find the piece of paper I had the price on. Nevertheless, okay, here it is. Oh, and the survey says that Shawn has lost his ever-loving mind because yeah, $1,188. $1,188. Yeah. Look, Lachief didn't even want to put it up there. No, yeah, $1,188. And I even noticed I even have some of my smudges on those diamonds. That thing, that would just be stunning, stunning. What a beautiful ring. So, if you've ever been waiting for that special opal piece, well, I think your wait is up. All right, now, speaking of opals, oh yes, we're going to segue right into something you're going to want. Item 11-11-523. Here is, we are going from Lightning Ridge, and I'm going to take you to something you'll rarely ever see. Brazilian opal. Oh yeah, leave it to me. You know I am going to have it, especially when it comes to opal, my favorite stone. Here is two what we call rubs, preformed opals. And let me show you the first one. They're Brazilian. I can spot Brazilians. I actually have know a guy. You remember the amethyst story I told you about? Well, that guy's uncle is the one that owned the amethyst that he wrestled around in at the age of 20. But he also later and currently has a fire opal mine and has mined the precious opal. So there's a lot of nice fire opal in the mid-range colors that you're familiar with coming out of Brazil, but they also do have fire opal. And their fire opal is very distinguishable by the pattern of color, by the softness of the look, and then often by the change of pattern. So you see this fire pattern, it's broad flash, and then if we can go in a little closer, okay, you'll run into more of a pin fire, different types, just going from one to the other. And then there's also a softness. It's difficult to describe. It's a softness to the play of color, more of like a pastel type of look, like you're seeing in that green, and often not quite as vivid. Now this isn't polished, so you can see the water, the wet look to it isn't even on most of this, and you still have some nice reflections for color. Polish this up, and it would be really, really nice. It would also make a beautiful doublet. That's one piece. Here is the other piece, and look at this one. Okay, same kind of thing. You see this fire pattern, and then you have a different pattern here, and then a third pattern here. You can almost see, well, you can see the lines where it changes going across there. But what you also can see is this entire piece of opal has fire in it, the entire thickness. So you can dome this, which is always the best for opal versus like a flat top, and achieve the kind of reflections from multi-directions you get when you're able to dome it. Look at that. Wow, that looks like a solar flare. That is gorgeous. Wow. So they would take a little studying to figure them out, but look at that. They are easily would cut some beautiful material and be nothing else like any of your Australian opals. If you have some, if you don't have Brazilian opal, you have to add it to your list. Like for fire opal, I have it, I don't know, I guess from everywhere they kind of produced it over the years. Remember the old material coming out of Hungary that fed the European market hundreds and hundreds of years ago to beautiful Honduran opal? And I'm talking about fire opal. And yeah, so there's, to remember that beautiful piece of Spencer opal from Idaho that no one bought. And it was that large piece. I saw it still the other day unsold. I couldn't believe it. It would only be by request if you want to see that in some show, because I was really shocked that had not sold. Just two remarkable stones right there that you can see how flat that is. I want to see what it looked like because I was contemplating a doublet, but changed my mind about that. So let me get those put away and I'll be right back.
Selling?
Oh, price. Price might help. Indeed. Well, here's the thing. Probably shouldn't tell you, and then maybe that was a Freudian error. $56 for both. $56. Any cutter could cut well beyond their value in that and have a lot of fun doing it and have something unique when you're done. You would have Brazilian opal. Top that one for that kind of money. All right, now we'll be right back. Let's go to Colombia. You know, there's one thing about Colombian emeralds is when you get into a certain color range, you can pretty much be assured that they're going to be Colombian origin. There's just something about that particular color. The only other ones I've seen that are closest to that color are some of the Australian emeralds, but you know, you saw that one ring I had made with three bigger stones in it. But they had a little different color and brilliance all their own. So really, you know, as much as we used to sell and deal in this material, I can, you know, really spot a Colombian emerald. They just kind of stand out. Now, when you get into the higher end Colombian emeralds with a little bit deeper color tone, price just goes up exorbitantly. I happen to really actually like this color. It allows you to have a bigger stone and you get enough clarity that the brilliance from the facets on the pavilion finally get the light reflected back out of the top of the stone instead of being absorbed by the inclusions in it, and you don't get to see anything but the color. you don't get a pop or a brilliance or a refraction with it. And so these are just 4 matching stones, and matching stones by way of color. They have a, for the material, a decent clarity. They could be used for a ring or earrings. You certainly wouldn't see anything. Just a nice size overall. You can see the total weight. What you're going to love more is the cost. Only $72. That's $40 a carat. So you're looking at 4 stones, $72. Well, if they were $20 each, that would be $80, right? No, they're not even $20 each. They're $18 a stone. $18. I had a retail jewelry store, and I wouldn't charge so much, but there's some, you have to be able to make money. You have to charge X number of dollars to survive, depending on where you are. I know, and other stores in the area my store was in, and also other particular higher end jewelry stores in the North Atlanta area, and I can assure you the price on an emerald like that would be no less than at least $300 for 1 stone. 1 stone. And, so by me offering you the price that I'm offering at does not reflect the actual value. The actual value would cost you a lot more, and in a retail environment, it would be a lot more than that even. So, take advantage of those beauties. Let me show you item 1110-623 if I'm lucky. Yeah, 1110-623. Now, what I'm getting out for you, I had a couple of, somebody bought up all those 20 pointers I offered before and the quarter carats. Well, I have a couple more 20 pointers. Now, I didn't include them with that other batch of them because the other batch were like VS clarity. But in looking at these, let me see if I can ever get it out of this little bag I'm trying to get it out of. And looking at these, they had little small inclusions that didn't make them the same clarity. This one's going to have a real big inclusion in a minute when I smash it to get it out of. These little bags are fun and effective, but not very if you can't get them out. Here, I'll show you. Look at the size of that little bag. See? Little bag. Okay. All right. So let me just move those and put in place this diamond. And look at this. So, I showed you before how I use a white paper, true white paper, because when you have a paper like this, you might think this tray is white until you have a true white piece of paper. Then look at the difference in color. So when you find some white paper, or go around until you see something that's just white, true white, set some aside. Make sure you keep some so that you can use it. I actually created another one of these just in case I didn't have my one here. So remember, diamonds are graded for color looking at them through their side. All right, here is that 21 pointer. All right, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful brilliance. And so if you look at the brilliance, it's tough to gauge color. So if you turn it on the side, you take the brilliance out of the equation, and then you can compare it to the white paper, and you can see truly how colorless it is. So yeah, GH color, that's going to be probably more like FG. That's a really, really white stone. Now, this has a natural. A natural is part of the original crystal that oftentimes it'll be in the girdle or be in a place that if they took it out, they would lose too much weight. So in this case, at 21 points, what they they want to try to keep them fifth of a caraters. So, or if it was a 25 point issue, they don't want to make it a 24 or 23 pointer. So there's reasons why they sometimes will just stop and won't cut what's a natural out. Now, if it's a chip or something that's you can see in the girdle looking down on it, straight down on it, and it's like a place out of it, that's not acceptable. It has to be cut out. But portions of the girdle or edges of tables, that's where you see them often leave a little tiny natural in place. Now, there is no way, even with my magical loop and everything else, that I'm going to be able to show you. Of course, I say that, but we always try that place on the edge of the table. Wow, we're certainly giving it a good try there. Oh, wow. Wow, look at that. Now let me see if this is a clock, if I can find it for you. It's at the very edge of the table. Wow, maybe at 2 o'clock? That little glinting area right there. I don't see. So what I always say is, if it's this hard for us to find, oh, great job there, Dave. Thanks. If it's that hard to find, then think of how small it actually is. So it's a tiny, tiny, tiny little place, but it would actually cause the grading of the clarity to be lowered. But it's still, it's a brilliant, beautiful diamond, really white stone, and the price is phenomenal. It's going to be only $138 on that, only $138. Now, let me show you. I have one more. It's item 111023. And this, Dave, let's see if we can work our magic again in doing that. That was cool. This, you did? You missed it? Do you see it? 0723. Yep, there you go. All right. So the next diamond I have is actually came from the same piece, so that they were all matching. So let me make sure I don't confuse these two, because they were a point off, so they can still be determined. All right, look at how white that diamond is. So see how it just almost disappears against the paper? That's how you know you have something probably in the top 3, D, E, F. But to be conservative, I just called them GH, but there's really no way they're GH. Now, this has a tiny little place that's only visible from behind, and we're going to, just for fun sake, put a loop up to it, and wow. Okay, so it is extremely small. Even and this is a 10 power loop I'm using, so it's not visible at all from above. I could only find it from the back. It would be probably a VS2. I'm just calling it an SI1. Wow, great work there, Dave. Wow, that really comes in closer than I thought. Thank you, sir. So, point being is, if we can't see it underneath going on that, it is really, really small. But in the world of diamonds, it makes a difference. It's not internally flawless. It's not a VVS. You know, it's going to be a VS2 or SI1. Each one of those grades makes a difference. And we're talking about stones now that are 1/5 of a carat in size. In the diamond world, that is a considerable size. That's a size that is handled and priced and referenced differently altogether. Because remember, there's only 5 of them then that makes it a total of a carat. So that's not many. And you put 5 of them in the band, you have a beautiful, stunning, bright look. So this stone, it has the same color as the other. It is an exceptional brilliance. In other words, it's really well cut, and it is only, so there's no external, there's no naturals or anything. The inclusion is just an internal inclusion. Price on this is only $144. Only $144. And that's a big stone. So, like one of those in the ear as an earring would make a big look for young or old. And when they get up into this size, the price per carat really soars. So in the opportunity I'm offering, even if you didn't know what you were doing with it, now it would certainly be worth getting them and setting them aside and for that rainy day. Okay, so let me actually change this. Okay, get them back in the right bag, and I'll be right back. All right, I am going to show you something that I can't, these aren't certified, but my source, my original source, I've had these for some time, said that they were Burmese sapphires. I can't say for certain whether they are. I'm just passing on the information. But what I can tell you and show you is what a sapphire looks like in one of its color phases if it is Burmese. And what you get is something like that. Look at that. Look at those colors. That type of saturation is what you look for. The cutting is native cutting. So as you can see, it isn't perfect, but they're cutting not only for weight, but they're using primitive equipment, jam peg machines. These are old. These are some really old stones, and I've had them look at that. They're cut actually for brilliance, certainly decent enough. I would never recut them. I wouldn't want to lose any of the weight. These are from my personal collection. Look at that. Look at that. So, I'm passing on the way these were represented. If I was, are they Ceylon? Well, they'd have to be the finest Ceylon for color that there is. There's certainly nothing I've seen by way of the Madagascan colors, even though the Madagascar sapphires are very fine. There's no way they would ever be Thai, or no way they would ever could be Australian. So, when you start eliminating them, I wouldn't be so bold as to say cashmere, but by way of in the color tone, they have that color tone. By way of age, they have that age. Whether they're heated or not, one of them has some inclusions, just one little area, but there wasn't enough that I could tell whether they were heat treated or not. It wouldn't, since almost all of them are, it doesn't really matter. It does matter by way of value, certainly. But at what you're paying for them now is not going to be paying any premium for whether they're Burmese or not. I guess that's the point I'm making. I'm going to price them to where they could be from anywhere, and they're going to be a bargain. I just love looking at these, if you noticed, and just turning them, because that kind of blue and reflection is just sweet, just really sweet. You can tell they're old stones. You can tell the cut is. Wow, Dave, you're right. I need to look over at this TV. Holy cow. Those stones are amazing. So this is what you buy. You put them up and you just wait until you have a reason to do something with them or do nothing with them. They are a color and color's everything. Color's everything. They have the color that is so desirable that you really only find in Burma origin and Kashmir origin. More so even in the Burma origin, that kind of color range. Anyway, I've got a lot of other things to do, as much as I hate it, because if that's going to be the last look of those, of something I've had for a long, long time, then you have to expect me to mourn over them for a moment. For a moment. Yeah. So they would be a lot, no matter what they are, to get these, even from a wholesaler. So when I offer these to you for only, my goodness, $88 for both. $88 for both of them. That's just what, a little over 100 a carat. I don't know. It's a, well, I guess I can let the stones do the talking for me, because they certainly can. They certainly can do the talking. All right, now, next I have for you 11-11-023. And by the way, I talked with the guys here. There's been something I brought in to show you. I haven't fully decided if I'm going to offer it for sale or not. It's something that you have never seen before. I'm just going to put it that way. And it's from a culmination of 50 years of me cutting. So I'll let that wander around in your brain for a little bit and think about it. But to impress these two guys who have seen everything, they haven't seen this. And it goes along with something else I offered and showed you earlier. It's a gemstone, or more than one, and it's in a form that you have never seen before. Let's put it that way. And a quantity you have never seen before. All right, so I'm still thinking about even whether I should show them. All right, let me show you this next parcel. All right, so, yes, sir. Let me give you item number 11-11-023. All right, so I need to clean my little tray, it looks like, but not necessary for you to get the idea what this parcel is. Look at these, 25-point total weight, and matching, you can see the color, 2.2 to 2.3 millimeter diamonds, SI1, so they're nice, or let's see, SI to I. So nice working clarity. It's not frozen spit by any means, and they all came out of the same channel set piece, so they would fit back in one nicely. And I need to clean my tray. But anyway, you can see this. I have the diamonds I have. I know there's someone out there that has tuned in for diamonds, that has been buying them up because they realize just how inexpensive they are. So 25 points of diamonds. I'm going to offer all of them to you for $58. Yeah, I know. See, Latif knows that that's not right. $58. So, you're looking at $200 a carat, something like that, That's a fantastic deal. Just over $200 a carat. Fantastic deal for, yeah. And they're the most commonly used size I ever worked with was that size, the 5-pointer size. They go great with anything in design. And also, if you do replacements, it's probably the most common replacement size also. So it would be a great opportunity if you want to just pick up those and have some of those for you. Let me just show you for a moment. One's a little crooked, but I put the sapphires, look at that, back in their little home. Look at that. Wow. Like I said, ones like that, they speak for themselves, and they'll look just as amazing when you see them in person. So, okay, now, let me, I'll put those in a way, but first I want to show you something that I've been holding out. Those that have watched me for any length of time may have gotten in on some of this material that I've had before a long time ago, even some bigger pieces, but for now you'll have to be happy with item number 1111-123. 1111-123. So I am going to let this spin for a moment while you, now so that Dave, I'm going to put this piece of plastic down so it doesn't scratch the glass. And I'm going to let that spin for a moment, and you study it while I put these diamonds up. And then I'm going to read you exactly the description of what kind exactly of petrified wood this is and what makes it so unique. All right, so what you're looking at is a piece of petrified wood, and then let me explain a little bit more about it for a moment. Okay, so this is a limb, okay? So here's the limb of the tree. This is the bottom. You can see a branch. Here is a branch that would have come off this limb. You can see this is the center of the branch, which is the hardwood. All right, now I'm going to let this go back here for one moment. And then let me read this. It's only a paragraph. Central Wyoming, USA was the site of an ancient Lake Gossuet during the early Eocene. Lake Gossuet was a large body of water surrounded by subtropical forest, the lake being part of a lacustrine complex that occupied the Green River Basin. Lake level rises episodically, drowning the adjacent forest, and caused standing trees and fallen branches to become growth sites for algae and cyanobacteria, which encased submerged wood with thick calcareous stromatolitic coatings. Now, let me just interpret that for you. Have you ever been back in the back of a cove in a lake and seen some branches in the back looking like they had all kinds of growth on them from moss or algae? Well, take that, and then if that material creates a calcite coating over it, which cyanobacteria and algae create all kinds of biological and chemical reactions. So it encased the submerged wood with thick calcareous stromatolitic coatings. The subsequent regression resulted in a desiccation of the wood, drying out of the wood, causing volume reduction, radial fractures, and localized decay. The subsequent burial of the wood in silty sediment led to a silicification of the cellular tissue. That line right there, the silicification, that is the process of the wood being replaced by molecules of silica, or agate and quartz, or chalcedony. Here we go. Later, chalcedony was deposited in larger spaces as well as the interstitial areas of the calcareous coatings. The final stage of mineralization was the precipitation of crystalline calcite in spaces that had previously remained unmineralized. The result of this multi-stage mineralization in fossil wood with striking beauty and a complex geologic origin. This is not like your grandfather's petrified wood. What we have here is regular petrified wood, except as we come in here closer, what happens is this is the outer ring. Then the regression of the wood, as it dried out, as this inner wood dried out from inside this calcareous coating on the outside, creating these voids. Then you can see it right here. Later, chalcedony entered those voids and filled them up. So what you had was algae creating a external coating, then the wood drying, allowing another layer at another point of a different type of quartz to come in and fill that in. You can see this branch having been broken off, exposing a different growth cycle. Now, under a fluorescent light, this is amazing. There's some beautiful yellow and blue fluorescence to these pieces. You can see some wonderful additional geologic formations there. And then on the bottom, here again, this is where it created a void. In this case, there was not any chalcedony available to fill it in, but if you look back in there, calcite, which was the final stage of the multi-stage formation of this wood, to fill in the remaining areas. And you can see some calcite, the yellowish color, back in there. Wood like this is from 50 million years ago. This is from a type of pepper tree called Chinoxylon, and it is really not found anywhere else but in the Blue Forest of Wyoming, which is part of the Green River Formation. So you know all those little fish fossils that you see, they're from the Green River Formation, as is this. It's in that part of the world. This piece I'm offering at a big discount and going to make it only $58. $58, and it's just a really special piece because I hand-picked it when I had the opportunity years ago to get a flat of this material, and it's what some of the pieces I had left are the best ones for one reason or another. This really tells the story. You have the chalcedony up here, it fluoresces. You have the separate little branch coming off the limb, which I think is really cool. And oftentimes you can find little insect burrows that create voids that chalcedony fills in. It's really a rare wood, and take advantage of it because it's something that I never really wanted to sell. So let me show you the only other piece I have. It is 11-11-223. 11-11-223, and it's going to be the same wood, except this one's going to be a little smaller, but nonetheless really cool. If you collect any kind of fossils or petrified wood at all, this is the one to have. This is made in the USA. Here's the two. You can see the two different sizes of them. This one, the smaller one, is going to be only $44. But again, it is out of anything else you might see elsewhere. You know that I will have picked it for all the right reasons, and there's something going to be special about all of them. All right, so with this one, you can see just how well defined the wood is as we come in closer and look at it. And then it also has which I think any of these extras are really cool. So it has another branch that came off the limb. Here's the bottom portion unpolished, which could be polished up. And a little sticker gook right there you have. You have right here where you, like something like this is often an insect burrow, and then it has been filled in with chalcedony. Up here, you can see you have that outer layer. So that, of course, filled in because there was an exterior layer to the outside of this. You can see how well preserved even the bark was, because you had that coating that was around all of this that allowed the wood to dry within it, and then chalcedony or agate filling in. There's like no other wood anywhere. Oh, can we look at this? This looks like a classic potential insect track right there. There we go. Yeah, I don't see anything coming down there. Potential insect track there. Now, fluorescence. There'll be some really cool fluorescence. I think this whole area down here fluoresces a beautiful green, wonderful area of chalcedony. Yep, so $44. Those are the only two I have, and the only two I'm going to be offering. So you can't go wrong. All right, as the clock ticks on me, there's so much more to do. Let's keep going. Item 11-11-823. What do I have here? And there were so many goodies that I didn't know where to start, where to stop. Didn't know if you wanted jewelry, silver, rocks, minerals, or a little bit of everything. So let's look at what we have right here. And this, oh wow, yeah, that's right, this piece. Look at this. Look at that. Now, that I should have made a what am I out of that. Because you've seen it enough, you should know, have an idea by now what that jewel might be. But let me just put these away. So what makes this so unique and unusual is the triplite in quartz. It's just usually almost very little matrix that is often found with these, and crystal formation. Yeah, it's there, but it's not recognizable like we think of as crystals. This is one of the actually best pieces I had for the material in quartz. Now, let me show you, and Dave will do his trick with the light. This, to go from what you just saw, then to look at it like this, it's a whole different story. Look at that. Look at that, how beautiful color that triplite actually is. And it's often cut with inclusions because it still passes light through it, and you still get a brilliance back out of it. Look how beautiful the matrix is with it. Look at that. Look at that. Well, there's a stone in there for sure. Thank you, sir. So this, when you see and had as much material as I have, and you could just do one of the spray finishes on there, and that would really, really brighten that up and give it that wet look if you were wanting to do so. So this piece, only $44. $44. And like I said, if you had as much as I had and saw how little of it actually was associated with attractive matrix, you'd see just how unique and rare that piece is. All right, now let me show you next. I have item 1110523. 1110523, and here, let's see, clean this out. Look at this. I have not been able to offer pink sapphires in some time. look at these. Here's some pink sapphires, and then this one, which I thought might be a color change. I didn't play with it too much to see, but I thought it was a really unique color, often in the color range that color change sapphires are. I actually see some violet in there and blue. Look at that. Yeah, that's really unique. So how would you like to get in on that's a pinkish purple, and this is a beautiful, beautiful baby pink. And look at that. This is old stock material. I am offering all three of those stones for only, how about this? $28. $28 to get two pinks and that other fun one, we'll call it. So I would expect that to be gone. Let's look at item number 1111-423. This one is an oldie but goodie because I don't have any others, don't expect to get any more, and this material has gone way up in price. Dragonfly on ruby in zoisite material. Anna King, my favorite silver designer. This is a clip bail, and as we look a little closer, you can easily see that the dragonfly is out of ruby. Look at the all the red. So it's a really neat carving piece, silver work, custom done to wrap around it. There's the Anna King logo with the crown. And I am making this item so affordable that you just can't miss out. Because how about this? Let's make that only, I don't know, $42. Only $42 on that. And that's a wow price. That is a wow price. Now, wow, I still can't get it. Speaking of wow, look at those. I still can't get past those. All right, let me show you. I have a deal. This is item 1111-323. And here's a chance to catch up. This is where you need to get one of those gem trays. And that's what I used to do. I used to have the most fun. And I'm talking about in my 40s and 50s. Well, all the years I collected. So to get a gem tray and then get a parcel like this, and then go through it and separate it and see what you have in it. I do know this. There's 5 different types of stones. And here is the money for the entire parcel. The rest are basically free. Look at that. That is look at that. See the zoning? That's what you want. Other than that, you need to just assume that it's going to be lab created if you cannot see any signs of it being natural. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous amethyst that easily equates to the value of the price I'm going to give you on the entire parcel. So look at here. So you have, I checked. Those are garnets because they stuck to the magnet. And the other ones, let me see here. I think there was a pink one. There it is. That's a tourmaline. Yeah, pink tourmaline. You have all these wonderful amethysts. You have citrines. You have peridot. You even have a big peridot. This peridot and the clarity to it is, again, equal to the entire value of the parcel. So with that, there is the colors of the peridot that was, remember, the suffragettes used as a sign of belonging to them. And I thought that was a neat little note of history attached to those 2 particular colors. So I am offering this whole parcel. I guess I'm offering the whole parcel of this for $28. $28. I think that's more showing that I cannot find the bag that it went to. So it happens when you don't have Raven next to your side helping you. You just give stuff away. All right. Now, I have something that I have been debating about showing you. I may do it in a moment. It's something near and dear to my heart, but something I know I can never replace. It took 50 years to assemble. Let me go ahead and show you a couple other items first, though, and while I'm thinking about it. Yeah, it's nothing you've ever seen me ever offer in the 15 years that I have been here, showing you so many unique things. This is something that some of those unique things were made from, but it is something that I could never go out and buy. So just be thinking about that. All right, let me look at, show you item 1094723. Yeah, I won't have gotten to anything today for what my goals were in showing you, but all we can do. Okay, look at this. How about a parcel of iolite? Parcel of iolite. Look at this. Now, I noticed, including Miss Elisa, she was buying up some of the inexpensive parcels and things, and out of the 15 items, she still found 5, the ones that she wanted the most. So that's what counts really in the end. This, I could not believe how much iolite actually was to go out and buy stones like these. So, it didn't, look at that. Those are just nice, beautiful, natural cut, matched goods. 19 stones, 6 by 4 millimeter. You know, $10 a carat is $65. And these were selling for nothing less than 20 to 30. We're going to make them $58 for them all. $58 for over, what do I have? A 34-point average, 6.59 carat total weight. Oh, value. All right, let me show you. Well, I'll redo those later. I had 2 morganites I wanted to show you, but I don't think I'll get a chance. Here is something that I am shocked that no one has gotten yet. Let's look at 1080322. 1080322. Yeah, what I'm debating about showing you, I know if I show it, maybe I'll sell it. I don't know. Maybe you need to tell me to offer it. Let me show you first, though. Here is, I'm not going to dump them out. Here is an incredible parcel of emeralds. Great for replacement stones. You can use them in so many ways. And, what you could charge for one stone as a replacement opportunity would pay for all of them. 3.50 carat total weight. How would you like all of these? 3.50 carat. Let's do it for something silly. Silly sounds like $6 a carat. Make them all $21. $21 for all of those. Yeah, that's just waiting for someone to say sold, because it took a long time to gather those over time. And so, speaking about gathering over a long time, I want your opinion on if anyone is interested. Now, they're not going to be super inexpensive, but compared to a lifetime's of savings, when I talked about how long I've been cutting and all, you guys have seen the newspaper and whatnot. Let me show you another diamond parcel first. 1094923. 1094923. How long I've been cutting, and how much I've loved opal. And so you know, I'm going to show you in a moment maybe, and put my put the product to prove the walk I have taken. Here's a diamond parcel. I want it to find a home. Look at these stones. These are incredible quality. Look at the clarity, VS to SI, and I mean SI1, and that's being conservative. The color, you can see the color, and it's even against an off-white background. So certainly a very strong, usable HI color. The cut, phenomenal, matching, 3 millimeter, and carat 10 total weight. So that proves how well cut they are right there by the carat weight being the correct weight. I had these inexpensively priced. Compared to what I'd have to pay in the market, I had priced these at $278. Nobody took advantage of that. I am going to put a sale price, but at this point, after this price, there's just no room for me to go. I'm going to make you want those. Someone out there is buying diamonds, and they're being smart about it. $228 for a carat. Do the math on that. Like $200 a carat for that kind of quality. They would cost me 3 times that at my diamond supplier. 3 times that. All right, I'm going to get your opinion on something. We'll pull the item number up. Well, no, let's not pull the item number up, Latif. Let me just show them. All right, I'm going to show everybody something that you have never seen me exhibit before, and I'd like to get your opinion on this. Take a look at this. Dave, you ready for the big reveal? Everybody look at this. Here is 50 years of Lightning Ridge opal cutting remnants. 50 years. It filled up, I guess this is an 8-ounce jar. It's just a jar I had. I remember I grabbed it a long time ago. Even so, I haven't changed this algae. I put a little something in there so the water didn't go bad, but still you can see created a little algae. They so it shows you how long they have sat down there. These, let's go in as close as we can, because this opal is all from such a fine quality to start with. And if anybody wonders if I cut or work with any opal in my life, here's a testament to it. This jar is a life's work of love and passion and desire for one-of-a-kind item, because there's no 2 opals alike. These could be made into the gemstone painting ideas. Look at this one. Look how long this one is. I'm not even sure why that's in there. That looks like a stone to me. You know, I really don't know what's in here. It's, I know these shards are really nice quality. That's apparent. I'm going to let that sit there for a minute, because I have to think long and hard, because once that's gone, it's like a section of my life has been removed, because it takes a long time to accumulate that many pieces coming off the bench, coming off the cutting machine, coming off the diamond saw, and I don't have another lifetime for what it would take to replace those. Let's look at item number 1, can't see, 110-4523. 110-4523. You know, that opal just makes a great background to look at anything. Now, I showed you a parcel a moment ago. Here is one that I made up a while back. I don't even know what is in this. If someone is interested in these, just let me know. Let me know. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be overly inexpensive because opals like that can still be used in many, many projects, from mosaics to, well, you know what I'm talking about. Look at this. Okay. Wow. I didn't even know what this was. So it is an incredible, you have blue topaz. Look how big those stones are. This is mixed gemstones, 30 stones, 8 different varieties. Look at the size of these. Dave, if you could just give us a little close-up on these. Wow. Wow. 8 different varieties, nicely cut, trapezoid cut garnets. This is a sapphire. Look at that. That is a sapphire, and let me just get a better look on this for a moment. Wow, look at that. Look at that. My goodness. Yeah, that's a sapphire, all right. Thank you. Then as we travel down the paper, you can see these aren't just small stones. These are bigger. Whoa, what have we got there? What do we have here? Is this chrome dioxide, that really expensive material I was talking about? And there's some of those in here. My goodness, look at that. What is that jewel? There's a citrine. When I put this together, I guess I figured there's 8 different types. So it's up to someone else. I think they're easily figured out with me having pointed out the unobvious ones. Here you go. How about this entire parcel? I'm not kidding you. Here is the price. $48. $48. And so 20.25 carats, that's just only over $2 a carat, and you get that sapphire and the blue topaz, all those goodies with it. My. That's a value for you. I wanted to get to the mineral specimens behind me, but I'm not going to be able to do that, but I might be able to sneak in one of my favorites here, and a real rarity if you don't have one. This is 1075822. 1075822. You know, they called it the zircon belt of North Carolina. It's dried up. You're talking about back in the 1950s. You're talking about back when they were looking for uranium ores all over the place. And they stumbled across a couple counties that had some stunning. Look, I'm just going to leave those opals back there. Look at this. Look at this piece. Look at the size of the zircons. Yeah, so let me give you, here's the info on it there. Do you have it, or Latif, you're good? Okay. Let's take us closer in, and you can see, look at that. Look at that nest, I could call it, of zircons in their classic formation. Those are beautiful with microcline feldspar. Now you can see that, look at the size of this one back here. That you can see that reflection right there? That's how you know it's a feldspar. Wonderful crystalline area. Look at all these. You can tell they're right under the skin. This whole piece just wants to come off. There could be a layer of zircons just back underneath that. This is phenomenal. Look at all of them. That is really, for that part of the country, a museum quality specimen. That is remarkable. It's from the Jones mine, which they call extinct when it is defunct and no longer producing. All right, that's probably the last item of the show. unfortunately. But I am going to make you a opportunity on this. If you want something really fine, only $88. Only $88. And I am real tempted to remove that just to see what's underneath. $88. All right, let me come up with a couple trivia questions for you from today's show, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I know the show, it just goes. The time just goes. I always think about, shortening the part at the beginning, but that's always seems like an integral part of the show. Sharing with everyone. I certainly enjoy it. But we'll be happy and we work with what we have, right? All right. Let me see if there's anything else to cover. Well, I just, Happy Easter. Make sure I cover that. I always have to think in advance, but hope everyone has a safe and enjoyable spring break. I know that's going on now as well. So 2 questions. Trivia. Sometimes from the show, sometimes from a blend of conversations or topics. And these aren't really hard, but that may be just in my opinion, which might not be worth anything in this case. All right, so no rewinding. You can watch the show multiple times if you want before you read the questions. Not many rules to it. It's we just go on good faith that everybody, gets their answers from your memory, from learning. And that's really the whole point and why I want to do the trivia and have been doing the trivia, to bring you back to the topic of the show and make you think about what you heard during the show and let you recall as much of the show as you can. So it's a learning tool, and I love it when everybody gets things right, but it's fine if you don't. Your participation is more important to me than right or wrong answers. All right, so it's not going to, change the way I look at anything if you get them all wrong every week. And but every great teacher loves a great student, and you guys have been really smart all along. And let me say this: if I was to take all of you as a group and put you in an environment with a group of other just people that like, let's say, other clients here at Gem Shopping even, I would put all of you up against any other group of clients here at Gem Shopping for an educational challenge. Of course, that's theoretical and technical, but theoretical and rhetorical question, because it's not possible to do. But my pride in all of you and your level of learning and knowledge is such that I have complete confidence that that we would prevail, and that all of you would be a force to reckon with in your gemstone knowledge. So don't forget, if you want something to do, watch the How It's Done series of 30 different shows of every different conceivable project you could think of at the bench, whether it's, how is a stone set, how is a stone flush set, how is a stone bezel set, how is a prong rebuilt, how is a platinum ring size, how is a gold ring size. My favorite one of, we have some of the those shows have over 150,000 views. I mean, if I, if I was in the, social media world, that'd be huge. Especially in the little niche area I am in, it is huge. So my best comment I got was from a person in Wales, England, and his 4-year-old daughter. Now this is Wales, England. You know how heavy frying pans are, and the little hole at the end of the handle you use to hang things on. His 4-year-old daughter got her finger stuck in that little hole, and he was in a panic. He had, used up all of his resources in trying to get this off of her finger and could not do it, including, Vaseline and all that stuff. So he Googled how to remove a ring without destroying the ring or the finger. And up popped my episode, which had multiple ways to do it without destroying either. And it worked. That's probably my biggest feel-good one of all the comments. But yeah, so many of them, incredible number of views. So I want all of you to check them out. So you're the smartest and brightest on your block. Let's get to the questions. Question number 1. What is a term used, or maybe I need to take an English class. What is the term used for a mine that is closed and no longer producing? Now, there may be other terms, but I'm looking for a specific term that they use when it meets that criteria. So what is the term used for a mine that is closed and no longer producing? They may call it something somewhere else, but here and in this part of the world, that is the term that I see most commonly used, the one I'm looking for. Question number 2. What is the gem's name for a chalcedony colored by chrysocolla? What is the gem's name for a type of chalcedony colored by chrysocolla? What name do they give that gem? All right, that's your trivia questions. I know you'll do well, and even if you don't want to answer it, fine. Send in a comment anyway, good, bad, or ugly, however way you feel. And, I just love your participation. We're going to try to get this going on every Monday. I really appreciate all of your support, more than you can imagine. And I am so grateful for it. So anyway, let's all keep just rocking on, and I will be just as excited and thrilled to see all of you next Monday as you will be looking forward to seeing me, I hope. Take care, all of you. Thank you. Cheers.